It's time to breathe again on this latest breath of fresh air, Shorty. It has been a while since I have done a Shorty. I think about a couple of months, but I am back, and I'm glad to be on this forum once again. So let's get right to this topic about Jimbo Fisher and Nick Saban, two very good, and in Nick Saban's case, all time good, college coaches, just being snipey, going at each other, being petty, whatever you want to call it. I am all about it. I love this. I just laugh. I'm still laughing about everything that's being said, everything that's been documented. It's all of it. It's just really, really, really funny. So, for those who might not know the backstory, uh, Nick Saban had this meeting with, I guess, Birmingham business owners, small business owners, and he got loose saying Texas A&M paid for all their players in their number one rated recruiting class. Of course, this got back to Jimbo Fisher, and he went and called Nick Saban a narcissist, uh, acting like I guess he was saying Nick Saban acts like he's a god figure, but he basically is not nearly the god figure everyone makes him out to be, and just a whole bunch of pettiness. It's just awesome. He encouraged media members to go dig in Nick Saban's past. It's really funny. Another part of the backstory is, of course, Jimbo Fisher was Nick Saban's offensive coordinator when Saban was the head coach in LSU. They won a national title there back in 2003. And now Jimbo Fisher has turned into a pretty good head coach in his own right. He also has a national championship pitcher under his belt during his days in Florida State before he came over to Texas A&M. Now, in terms of what side you are on, I guess take your pick. I'm not really on anyone else's side, but I could just look at things from both perspectives, and I just think all of it is funny. Let's start. We're going to start with Jimbo Fisher first. And then normally, when it comes to these things, I would start with the person who just has more clout. Obviously, that is Nick Saban with all the national championships he has won with Alabama. But we'll start on the Jimbo Fisher side, just to break it down. And also, the main thing with Jimbo Fisher, we'll just get started. The main thing with Jimbo Fisher is here he is. He's in Texas A&M. He has the number one recruiting class. Of course, this all this is centered around name, image, and likeness, transfer portal, and you can look at the webcasts we have done, especially recently, and you can get our views on how Patrick Brackett and I, uh, how we feel how we feel name, image, and likeness in the transfer portal should be dealt with. And I mean, I think really you should just treat it just like free agency because it's basically what it is now. When money starts exchanging hands in players legally, then it's basically just like another pro league. More, I mean, that's it's the reality. That's what we're dealing with these days. And these kids, these players, they have more opportunities afforded to them than ever. But you can catch the webcast to get our full detailed views on it. But that's just a little bit of it. But back to Jimbo Fisher. He has the number one recruiting class coming in this year. And he's using the resources that are available to him. If you can use money, name, image, and likeness to help recruit players, why would you not use that? A coach would be crazy, flat out dumb, not to use every advantage they could to get a handle and a leg up on the competition when it comes to getting the recruits. Plus, Jimbo Fisher, he's in the state of Texas. Now, look, you see me right now. I'm wearing Texas burnt orange, and I'm a huge Longhorns fan, as y'all know. And I grew up in Texas, down in San Antonio, and I currently live in the Dallas Fort Worth area. So, I know a little bit about the landscape here in Texas, and this isn't me trying to put Texas on any type of pedestal, but this state is rich, the richest in the country when it comes to football resources. Florida's the only other state that might be able to compete with Texas in terms of the resources they have for football, in terms of recruiting, and now with NIL out there and transfer portal stuff. Oh man, that's only going to enhance itself. But Jimbo Fisher is using all of these different tools to help in recruiting. There's nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that at all. As a matter of fact, this is the same thing Texas should have been doing the whole time. Well, okay, I guess now it's illegal with name, image, and likeness, but whatever. We all know and believe money was getting exchanged somewhere under the table with boosters, whatever case. That I don't think that's any type of a secret. But Jimbo Fisher is using all those resources to his advantage, and it's not like he's new to the recruiting game. He was a good recruiter when he was with Florida State. He has a national title there at Florida State when Jameis Winston was the starter at quarterback back in 2013. So it's not like Jimbo Fisher is new to this game. He's been a good recruiter, and now that he has the resources in Texas available to him, he's going to use them, and he should use them. And I just think it's funny that he's being petty. As for Nick Saban, you have Saban over here. This is what Nick Saban does. He complains about stuff all the time. Remember when Chip Kelly was up in Oregon and he was introducing this really high, fast paced offense? Nick Saban was complaining about that, talking about players could get hurt because they're not used to the pace. When secretly, all Nick Saban was doing was adjusting to what Oregon and other teams were trying to implement, and he put it together on his own offense. And then he got his defensive players in shape so they could deal with the pace other teams are going to throw at them. That's all Nick Saban does, and this is all. This is. He's upset about name, image, and likeness. And the main reason why he and other coaches are upset is because they don't have the control anymore. Coaches don't have nearly as much control over the landscape as they've had over previous years. And yeah, they're upset because all those resources and all the money was coming to them. No more. Now with name, image, and likeness, it is more of a spread out pot. Wild, wild west, whatever you want to call it, but I'm all for it because these coaches can do whatever they want. Why can't players can't? Make no sense to me. But Nick Saban is just complaining publicly. Privately, he's adjusting to the landscape. He's going to be using name, image, and likeness deals to help get his team, keep his team at the top. And he'll have the number one recruiting class too. Again, it's not like Alabama had the 30th or 35th recruiting class. They were number two. They were right behind A&M in recruiting this year. So Nick Saban's over here calling out Jimbo Fisher, calling out Deion Sanders and Jackson State when they got Travis Hunter with, I guess, $1 million deal. But there was no, I haven't seen anything that said, hey, Jackson State gave this man $1 million to come to the school. So him calling out Deion Sanders, I think Deion Sanders was collateral, honestly. And Jimbo Fisher is really collateral in this whole case. It's just the fact of Nick Saban calling out all these, calling out Texas A&M and M and Jackson State, but he's gonna be implementing a lot of the same things. That's why I think it's really funny, and that's what makes Nick Saban great at this job. He complains about the stuff, but secretly he's just adapting to what is happening in the landscape, and he's gonna keep Alabama, as long as he's there, right there in your top 2 or 3 in recruiting, and more importantly, number 1 or 2 on the field of play. That's where all this has to play out. That's where you're going to see the fruits of the labor. Yes, Jimbo Fisher can have the number 1 recruiting class, but if he can't coach them to be number 1 on the field or even make a SEC championship game at some point, it's not going to matter. Everybody gets tied up in recruiting. Everybody gets tied up on off-season battles. None of that stuff matters. What matters is what happens on the field, And that scoreboard says Nick Saban has 7 national championships. Jimbo Fisher has 1. This isn't to say Jimbo Fisher is not a great coach. He's just not Nick Saban right now. But he's trying to get there. And with these recruiting classes, maybe that's the start of it. But I just think all of it is just so funny. Everything that is materializing in the last couple of days, it's just so funny. And everybody's trying to take a side. Are you with Team Saban or Team Fisher? Man, I'm with Team everybody on this. I love the pettiness in this case. And I'm not really a petty guy, but I do love that these rich old dudes are going at each other. And it's going to be fun when they actually play each other down in Tuscaloosa coming up in the football season. Well, that's what I'm breathing on for this shorty. It's good to be back on this forum. And y'all make sure y'all visit the Breath of Fresh Air YouTube channel, smash that subscribe button, and keep the likes coming on the Breath of Fresh Air Facebook page. Until next time, y'all take care, enjoy the weekend, and I'll be back next week. Take care.